Welcome to the Woodpreneur podcast, the number one podcast for the business and marketing side of the lumber, woodworking, hardwood flooring, and sawmill industry. I'm your host, Steve from Acres of Timber. Each week, we feature various wood business owners and entrepreneurs from around the globe. We share their stories, paths, insights so that you can network, learn, and grow your own wood business. Thank you so much for listening. Now enjoy the episode.
Hey, welcome to a brand new episode of the Woodpreneur podcast. This is your host, Steve Lauziliere. Today's guest is Chad Beall from Tree Frog Woodworking. How you doing, Chad?
Good, Steve. Thanks.
Hey, so I'd love to hear the backstory behind Tree Frog. How did you get into the woodworking industry?
You know, I actually was trying to make it as a musician. I went to college on a jazz guitar scholarship, and I'm all right brain, and ended up doing construction on the side to kind of help pay the bills. You know, music's a really hard way to make a living, and one thing led to another, and I started stumbling into the really artistic aspects of woodworking, and so that kicked it off. And then after, had my first son, realized I needed to have a job, as my wife would put it, instead of an expensive hobby. And so that was kind of the backstory, which kicked it off, and just progressed from there, and inevitably opened the metal shop side. That was back in 2008. So now we're doing all of our own wood and metal, and yeah, man, that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
So what year did you start the business?
Incorporated in 1998.
Oh, wow.
So, and it was woodworking. What's that?
I said you've been at it for a while.
Yeah, it's been a journey for sure.
Do you, was it hard to make that realization that you couldn't be a musician professionally?
Funny enough, it took a lot of the load off of that for me, and it became way more fun, man. My writing got better. The cool thing about music is that you always have it. I can play anytime I want, and I still do, and still get paid for it here and there, but when you're trying to make that your job, it comes to a point where it starts to just detract from the creativity. And, some things that I think in any creative lifestyle, when you're trying to make a living doing it, it could be pretty challenging. And this place is no different. There's times where we've struggled.
For sure. What were those first couple of years were like in the business?
It wasn't too bad. I had some connections with builders and stuff, so I was able to keep busy and wasn't always doing the things I wanted to do. I was framing houses, building decks, like doing basement remodels, things like that, anything to make ends meet. And the cool thing about it is all the framing, the stuff that I didn't want to do really, really kind of geared us to where we are now, understanding like the entire process and knowing how to work with electricians and plumbers and understanding the terminology, and inevitably, I mean, we do work with a lot of builders and architects and interior designers, landscape designers. So it's great to kind of know the business inside and out, and it's really helped us in the long run.
How did you arrive at your model, your business model?
That's an interesting question, man. It's the things that I'm interested in. So, I think one of the first trigger points that geared us towards the direction we're at now that kind of helped to establish our niche is I did a pergola, and I'd never even heard of a pergola. I didn't know what it was. And basically it's just like a big timber frame, deck frame that's overhead that creates shade, and it doesn't have many purposes aside from, well, it's a shade, it creates an outdoor room, but it can be very artistic, and so that did it. Started building gates and really enjoyed the gates. And so we were able to kind of rev up, those aspects of the business, the things that set us apart. Because there's,
Mm.
there's thousands of deck builders, man. And when you're really trying to, I'm a perfectionist. So when you're trying to do things really pretty and you spend all this extra time, you can't compete with the companies that are there's banging out decks, and in the end they look really good. I
Yeah,
would never claim that we're better than anybody else, and but if you want like a furniture quality deck, guys would call Tree Frog Woodworking, and then if you didn't, there's all kinds of other options. And
sure.
it was more a case of trying to build that name up to where we could get those higher quality jobs.
For sure. Hey, is that a longboard deck behind you?
It is, yeah.
Do you
I
skate?
actually, not much. I snowboard, and man, my body's so beat up. I don't skate
Yeah,
much.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
My youngest son skates a lot.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
always
yeah.
at the park, and but yeah,
But
we
you
built
love it?
those.
Do you cruise?
Yeah, so we built a whole bunch of those. I made a template, and we were slow. That's funny. You can see the longboard nest, and that one's a wall hanger. I thought it'd be really cool to build this one, and I actually put a piece of copper on it.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever I glued it up, I just took a piece of copper and veneered it onto the board, thinking it would be really cool, but it ends up having kind of a sharp edge and didn't
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
flex the way the other boards do.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
just did a patina on the copper and hung it up. But
Do you snowboard and skate to sort of as a release for yourself?
I was really into snowboarding for a while and skating. Most of my releases tend to be more right brain. So like
Mm-hmm.
music, I'll pick up
Yeah,
my guitar. Photography, I'm really into photography, and
yeah,
got into that actually taking pictures of our own stuff here
yeah.
for the website and for like Instagram and things, and
So you took all those pictures that are on your website?
I did. Yeah.
That's really amazing. It looks
Oh,
so
thank
good.
you, man. Thank you. I appreciate that.
That yeah, yeah, you can. It's almost like it's so interesting. I mean, no diss to anybody that's listening, but like the way you create your wood products, it's almost like you either need to hire a professional, or if you're going to take pictures, you have to like actually learn how to take the right pictures to showcase how beautiful it is, right? And like,
Right.
and yeah, and I mean, photography is everything. It also seems like um, some like I remember I picked up photography, and I just found the whole process of trying to capture what my eyes see. And then once you get it, then you can start to tweak it, right? Like a little bit
Right. Right.
to show it, because sometimes the light doesn't capture the patina, or it doesn't capture the green the way it needs to. So you can embellish it a little bit, but
Sure.
in
Sure.
post. But is when you think about photography and music, do you think that adds to the quality of your work?
Oh, absolutely, man. It all comes from the same place,
Mm-hmm.
and for me, the challenge with making a business or making a living doing in the creative world
Mm-hmm.
is there's this burnout factor where there's
Yeah.
absolutely times, no matter who you are, you're going to struggle with that, and it's really hard to be creative when you're exhausted or just burned out on something specific. And the way I'm able to keep my brain in the creative mindset is, I can, man, if I'm just really struggling with design, for instance, I pick up my guitar for half an hour, or I'll,
Nice.
take a weekend, and for me, it's almost like meditating.
Mm.
I go and do something else, and it all feeds that same fire. And as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to just pulling away, and like you asked earlier, like for skateboarding and snowboarding, that's definitely stuff I do for fun. But I
Yeah.
don't know that it feeds that creative fire like the photography. Just anything in that realm is. Man, those are the things that really get me. Welding is one of them. Man, I can just
Welding,
go in
I
and
can see that. Yeah, yeah,
oh
yeah.
man, it everything disappears. You drop that hood and all you see is this puddle, put in some
Yeah, you're
headphones
not
and
thinking about your bills.
right. Time, everything disappears. It's beautiful,
Everything
man.
disappears. That's how I feel
Yeah.
about snowboarding, honestly. Like,
Really? So where are you at?
I'm in Chicago,
Oh,
but
you're in Chicago. Okay.
yeah, but Colorado is one of my favorite places to snowboard,
Right on.
So,
What's your favorite mountain?
Snowmass. I also
Okay.
went to Copper. That's a great mountain as well.
Yeah,
So
Copper's outstanding.
really cool. Um, so when you started to grow the business, like what was
hmm
the first sort of major investment that you made? Was it in equipment or people?
So, man, I worked alone for quite a while, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, I've obviously been doing this for over 25 years, man, and
Yeah, yeah,
people's the hardest part. Uh,
yeah.
so I feel that as far as investments in the company, tools have always it's just you can't go wrong.
Yeah.
The better tools you've got, like I can buy one tool that seems really expensive, say a $5,000 tool, and you can get as much done as three or four guys could get done in the same amount of
Mm-hmm.
time,
Yeah.
and as everyone knows, I mean, the employee, just what's going on right now, it's really challenging. The work
Mm-hmm.
ethics are hard, and even someone's work ethics is just not always a great fit. And so
Yeah.
there's been
Yeah.
lots
Yeah.
of times where I really like people, but it's mutually we need to separate in order for them to be on their own path, and for this
Yeah.
place to
Yeah.
grow. And so I don't know, right now, I mean, I've got the best crew that I've ever had. These guys are amazing.
How many do you
And
have?
five guys and me, so there's six of us
Awesome.
altogether.
Awesome.
And still, I mean, we're really small for the size of jobs we're doing, so tools are a huge part of that.
Hmm.
It's always a worthy investment.
Do you ever worry about being a good boss?
Honestly, I don't even really consider myself a boss. I'm just I'm just a laid back dude that, I'm so right brain. Like I don't really think about money. I'm not driven by money. I never have
Mm-hmm.
been. Um, I'm more of an artist, and these guys are just helping me get things done, and it's funny, you can talk to any of the guys and they all joke about calling me the boss because it's
You
almost
don't
like we're
feel
just
like it.
hanging
You don't
out.
feel like it. Yeah.
I don't, and although I've had to fire, you know I don't know how many people, 50, 60 over time, and
Wow.
oh man, I
Wow.
hate that aspect of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But there's definitely, I guess there is the boss component, but I don't think of myself like that. We're a
Sure.
team, and I just try to feed into everybody's strengths, as best I
Sure.
can.
Sure. 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 Did what was your first big win project that you were like, and maybe it was like your biggest, most expensive, and that like maybe you were like afraid to put together the quote because you were just like, screw it, I'm just gonna put out this quote and it's gonna be like the biggest job ever. Do you remember what
Hmm.
that was?
Oh man, there's been a few. We've worked for several famous people, which is cool. But
Mm.
honestly, I think one of my first really big ones was the state capitol. And
Whoa.
it ended up being all metal work that we did on it. And I partnered up with a good buddy of mine, Billy, with Art Forge and Fabrication, and had him. He was actually working in my shop for a bit. And this, so they were redoing the skylights above the House and the Senate, and
Yeah.
this contractor sent me a couple of cell phone pictures and just asked what I thought it would cost. And obviously, I had no idea what I was getting into. We ended up being
Yeah.
there
Yeah. Yeah.
for like 3 years, I think, all in all.
Yeah.
And there were like two aspects. I think we were there 2 years the first time, and then we came back with another contractor and did another aspect of the Capitol. But that was a big one, man, and
That's really
super
cool.
challenging. And there were I'm a real early riser, so there's times I would get there and I had a code to get in. I'd be the only guy in the whole
In this
state
thing.
capitol. You just hear my foot echo, and we were working up in the attic, and it was just like this old, dusty, just super cool place, man. It was, yeah, I still think really highly of that one. That was fun.
What, uh, like, how much was that job worth to you at the time?
You know, the overall, like, I can't remember exactly. I think it was like a four to $500,000 project, man.
Whoa.
And then we split that, and then obviously there was a lot that went into
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the components that went up
The
in there.
hours too. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Oh, and the hours. I mean, we were there for a couple years, so it was.
Wow.
So it sounds like we made and it always is like that. You tell somebody the gross, and it sounds like
Yeah,
you
yeah, yeah,
killed
yeah.
it. But we did well. We did good on it,
That's
and
cool.
it kind of helped get me out of. I'd gotten into some debt when the economy tanked back in 2009,
Mm-hmm,
and
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I just did everything I could to keep my guys busy and pay them. And I think I went 80,000 in debt, just trying to take care of my guys and make sure they're paying their bills. And it was rough,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Do
and
you ever feel that? Do you ever feel that pressure to like knowing that like whatever your decisions make, they impact other people's livelihoods?
absolutely, man. Yeah, that's a really big deal to me. Yeah, I would pay everybody so much more. I mean, I just want they're helping me, so I
Yeah,
want
yeah.
them to do good.
You think that's one of the reasons why people don't take on employees and they want to stay small?
That's I think part of it, and a lot of people just they get sick of that battle trying to
Mm-hmm.
hire guys, and just like anybody, you when you first meet somebody, they've got all the masks and they seem great and like a perfect fit, and then
Mm-hmm.
the reality starts to unfold and it ends up getting ugly or whatever. And man, the problem is that is really consistent as a business owner,
Yeah.
and I think it's way harder to find people that are a really good fit than uh than the other. So
Mm-hmm.
I think, man, well, this just comes from experience and talking to other guys that have a company, and they're always asking me, how did I get these guys? And it was basically 25 years of grinding, and I have
Yeah,
five
yeah,
guys to
yeah,
show for it. Well,
yeah,
plus
yeah.
there's the great people too that move away. I mean, everybody's got a life, so I've had some amazing employees that it's
And they
just
move on. Yeah,
it's
they've
so
got to
sad,
move on.
and they move somewhere else, and and I'm nobody, I can't tell them not to. That would be
Sure.
so selfish and
Yeah.
greedy of me. And so you just support them, but it's just life, it's the way it works.
We're so in the past couple of years, so you've been at this for 25 years. What keeps you going?
Honestly, it's probably the guys that I have here now, you
Mm,
know, um, they, and the relationships, like all of the relationships that we've
like client
developed,
and partner relationship, referral partner relationship.
exactly, man.
Yeah.
Like Designs by Sundown here in Denver,
Hmm.
landscape company. I mean, I've been working with those guys since pretty close to the beginning, and man, they're just feeding us these amazing projects that I would never get by myself, and then the
Yeah.
guys here, every one of them is really passionate, and they're just a really great team, young guys. It's I don't know, I feel like I'm just in this really fun part of it at the moment, and the economy's great, so it's just easy to have the work and without as much stress.
How do you how do you stay ahead and personally develop yourself? Do you do that? Do you invest in yourself personally,
Uh,
professionally?
How do you mean?
I don't know. Do you have like coaches, mentors? Do you read books? Do you like go
Yeah,
to conferences? You know what I mean?
like I do. I like to ask a lot of questions,
Mm-hmm.
and I listen to podcasts. And I do like books. I like well, I guess I like audiobooks. I'm not a big reader, man. I just was never into reading
Same.
much, but
Yeah, yeah.
I
Same.
also, man, I like YouTube. I feel that and this company is based on this. You can become a master, an expert at anything off of
Anything.
videos without school,
YouTube
man.
University. Oh man, it's
Yeah,
so good.
it's a miracle, man. And when I was a
So
kid,
good.
none of that existed. We had like a partial encyclopedia
We
kit.
had encyclopedias. These
Yeah,
kids.
yeah.
These
And so
kids.
now you can learn it all. So, I mean, that's something you go down that rabbit hole, you're searching up like how to do this specific technique. And next thing you know, a couple hours go by and I've just got a million notes everywhere on all the things that I'm learning and inspired by. And that's kicked off a lot of the things that happen here, all the
That's
patina
cool.
work, all the welding, um, all the dissimilar materials that we work with. It's all based off of research.
For sure. Do you where are you going next? Where are you taking a business next?
So, yeah, right now, I mean, honestly, we're just trying to keep our head above water, riding this wave. So much is
Are you
being,
just so busy right now?
we're slammed. And
Wow.
to the point where, people are having to wait a bit to get in line. And, ever since COVID, actually, and it's really sad to say because it was so devastating to so many people, but it really triggered the economy that we have now for what I do specifically, and
Yeah, yeah.
since 2020, we haven't had a break, man. We
Wow.
we'd slow down a little bit around the holidays. I think I've gotten, what's today? Tuesday, Wednesday. I don't even know what today is. We've gotten three new jobs sent to me this week to bid on, and
Wow.
it just never ends. And it's amazing. It's the best thing for the company.
What and how do you get most of your projects? Is it referral?
It's all word of mouth. Yeah,
It's all word of mouth.
100%. Yeah.
Wow. And your photography, probably.
Yeah, I think that helps, and that was something that it's funny. I picked up that camera just to take pictures of our stuff with something better than an iPhone, and man, I think it changed everything. And I've
For
told the
sure.
guys like, and it's not even jokingly, man. I mean, we could build something ugly, and if I catch a wicked sunset behind that,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
dude, people just want to be there. It's just like photography. I mean, you're looking for this great light, and
Hmm.
um, yeah, just trying to and learning how to capture things is a big deal.
That's so cool. I see that one of your guys, Alex, is from
Yeah,
Chicago.
he
Uh,
is. Yeah, he's actually in here right now working on a walnut and copper uh, bench with a set of drawers. It's amazing. Yeah, like, he's so good, man.
how'd you find him?
He reached out. I think he saw us on Instagram, and that's how
Wow.
I've got several of these guys, honestly.
Wow. That's incredible. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
you're doing something right when people are reaching out to you for work.
yeah, and it seems like those are the guys that always work out,
Uh-huh.
And so, yeah,
Yeah.
pretty special place, I'd have to admit.
How do you describe what you do?
You know, people ask me like similar questions all the time, and I'm just an artist. Like I'm all right
Mm,
brain artist. I don't honestly. I'm a terrible businessman. I'm
mm,
like, fortunately, I married an accountant, so Cindy keeps me in check. But I
mm,
don't think about money. I'd said this before. I'm not driven by money. I want to build pretty things, and
mm.
yeah, I don't really know how else to describe myself. I'm driven,
Yeah,
and definitely have an addictive personality. If I'm interested in something, I
yeah,
can't quit thinking about it. Like I did that with photography, music,
yeah,
this place. If I need to learn something new, I won't sleep, until I
yeah.
until I get it figured out.
That's so cool. So what are you obsessed with right now?
Photography is a big one for me. I'm still trying to figure it out. I hang out with some really good professional photographers and
Mm,
great friends of mine, and I just love the way that they edit and produce, and then still like we do a lot with patina work here on metal, and so we're playing a lot with that. And oh my gosh, man, the just it's endless, the things that you
Yeah.
can delve into. And
You know what seems interesting? The whole idea of finish, especially to a creative person like yourself. Do you obsess over finish a lot?
Yeah, the biggest challenge that we end up running into constantly, because most of our stuff is exterior. We do quite a bit
Hmm.
of interior work, but the majority is easily outside. And here in Colorado, man, the UV is brutal. And
Yeah.
so like I've always equated it, the finish is like the sound man,
Yeah,
honestly. It
yeah,
doesn't
yeah, yeah,
matter
yeah.
how great
You
of a
have a
piece
bad
you
mic,
build.
it's done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You could play your best show ever, and if the sound man sucks, your show
Yeah.
sucked, and everybody, that's what they saw. And with finishes, we have to think, like I'm always trying to think, 10, 20 years down the road, man, because nothing
What's
lasts
this going to
forever.
look like?
And I
Yeah.
have to tell clients that, and everybody seems to think that there's this one finish that's, you can spend a little extra and it'll last forever. And nothing does. Powder coat doesn't. Nothing does. So that's a huge one here. We're always looking for the best
Interesting.
finishes we can find. And
That's super interesting. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. And I kind of get the sense that like the look and the aesthetic and making sure that the client's vision comes to fruition and your obsession with details and craftsmanship probably lends itself to like things uh work being done, like nothing leaves your shop unless it's perfect.
right. And well, nothing's perfect, I guess
Yeah,
I'd have
nothing's
to
perfect.
say. And the
Sure, sure.
problem, that's another issue of mine is my honesty. I gotta show up with a gate and I don't know why I do it, but I'll point out all the flaws that are in this game to the client, and they'll laugh and it's like, "Why'd you even show me that?" And like they can't even
Have it,
see
they
it
can't
half the
unsee it.
time,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
and uh, and it's never been an issue. It's like things that are so small I don't think they fully see what I'm seeing, and I'm trying not to do that, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
big deal as to I think like a lot of clients have distrust for guys in the trades, and like I think guys they're thinking about
Yeah.
money, and so they're trying to like, oh, if I just cut this corner, I'll make more money on it and whatever, and they won't
Hmm.
notice this. And we don't do that. None of my guys do that. If
Sure.
anything isn't as good as we can make it, I would never say perfect, but as good
Yeah.
as we can make it, it doesn't leave the shop. And so we don't really have punch lists very often. There's
Yeah.
times where like we'll miss something, or like on the cleanup, so the guys miss something, and one of our either the builder or somebody will point it out and let us know, but we take care of it immediately. And yeah, I've had clients call like 10 years later and have a gate that's not working right, and we'll just come by and tweak it, for free. I mean, I
Yeah.
want our stuff
Yeah.
to look good and things.
Yeah.
So
Hey, so this is the part of the podcast where I ask you where you can ask any marketing or business questions. So, is there
okay.
anything that you need help with, or something that you're struggling with that I could give you some advice on?
You know, Yeah, man. So where I struggle here is our business model. A lot of the things that we get fed are it's a lot of it is things that I've never done before, right? And
Hmm.
so like I have to build these things in my head and then come up with like how much time it's going to take, and I'm just guessing at a lot of these things, and that's where we get beat up. And I have a few buddies that have similar business models, and we all wrestle with it. You underbid
Hmm.
a bigger project, and man, you can get spanked.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I can't figure out anything to help with that, really.
So, what's the question you think that?
So like how to maybe improve this business model. One theory that I've got is, we need almost to feed this, we almost need some sort of like a bread and butter cookie cutter component,
Yeah,
maybe,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
but we don't have that. Not yet. We
Sure.
will, I'm sure, eventually with the creativity coming from it, but
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I guess I understand the question. So tell me what is the project that you're most known for? The type of product that what are you most known for?
probably a combination of pergolas and gates. Or
Okay.
there were a couple write-ups in the paper a while back, and seems like I get
And
more calls for those than anything.
and what's the most profitable?
We do pretty good on the pergolas. They don't have all the moving components. Um, yeah, pergolas would be the most profitable.
Okay, and then what do you absolutely love doing?
I like building gates.
Yeah.
And
So
I like the new stuff that
yeah,
that we don't make money on even because it's
sure.
just new and artistic.
So to me, I focusing on pergolas and gates and productizing that and coming up with a set designs like
Okay.
and having A B C D design and knowing what the costs are and knowing for pergolas
Right.
and gates. That's what I would focus on. I mean, look, it's hard because you're a creative person, right? And you want to do everything. And at the same time, you need to maintain profitability and run a business in which you can keep the money coming in. And so one of the things that I would brand myself as is like pergolas and gates. And then when people
Okay.
die, because I almost feel like if somebody buys a pergola or somebody buys a gate, it's an entry level product to all of the custom cabinetry, the furniture, everything else, right? So
Sure.
if you focus on the outside first and then go on the inside afterwards, because you're gonna keep the relationship, you're gonna keep the relationship going. So to me, I'm like, okay, do the gates and the pergolas, come up with a bunch of designs, and then maybe, honestly, like you could use technology to help come up with some cool designs as well to like stretch
True.
your
True.
like use AI to stretch your imagination and the entry level product would probably be a design consult. So like you start doing design consults, you you do design consults. You could potentially do design consult for a fee. If they move forward, then they can apply the costs from the design fee, prorate it.
Hmm.
But yeah, that would do pergolas and gates for sure,
Right.
right? And then come up with like literally brand yourself like Colorado pergolas and then have it redirected to your site or Colorado custom gates, right? And
Sure.
um, or Denver pergolas, right? Like whatever that is, because pergolas are pretty lucrative, right?
Yeah.
And everybody wants them. Same thing with these custom gates. Like what's an average cost for a pergola?
They vary, but it's for regular size, maybe like between 20 and 30 grand.
Yeah,
So,
that's it. That's incredible. Yeah,
and the cool thing about them for us, I suppose, is because there's not a whole lot of components to build them. So I was able to teach
yeah,
my guys all of the techniques they need and they can grasp all of that.
yeah,
And
for sure. So what I would then is just like I don't know. I would even go as like pergola of the day, and I don't know how many pergolas you've
hmm,
had, but like keep in touch with all of your customers and just say, hey, can you just randomly take pictures and then tag me, and then I'll repost them, and then because is the pergolas are they a seasonal thing? Like, do you sell more of them on when? Like these three bids that you just got, like What are they for?
So actually, what drives a lot of the pergolas here in Colorado is any house that is southwest facing. It's that
Yeah.
afternoon sun bearing down. It's like the surface of the sun on their
And Colorado
patio.
and Denver has a lot of sun.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, like
Yeah,
a
yeah, yeah,
lot,
yeah.
like 300
A
days
lot.
a year.
300 days a
Yeah,
year. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So they are, and they want to maximize the outdoor weather.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah. So for me, I would do content on pergolas, blog posts. I would do Instagram, social media posts on the benefits of pergolas. I would get as
Okay.
like I would go as a one thing that you could do is like go back to every pergola that you've done this past year and say, hey, I wanted to stop by and check on the quality of the pergola. I'm sure you know that, but you have a guarantee. And so I'd love to come and check it out and take a couple photos for our website. Is that okay? And then when you're there, you can take some pictures of pergola. You can chat them up, and then you just start looking around their house. Ooh, I think a table will look good there. Ooh, a thing will look there. And but what it does is give you a reason to do it. I mean,
Yeah,
it's holidays now, but you could just say, hey, I'm going to stop by and bring a gift, right? And these are
yeah.
the ones that you have direct contact with. But, if you want to build out, because not all pergolas look the same either, correct?
Oh no, yeah,
Yeah.
there's a pretty good variety there.
So for me, I would, that's what I would do. That and gates, like take pictures, start blogging about it, go down the rabbit hole of the significance of a pergola and what that does to a home, its value, and the well being of a homeowner. And
Right.
what does a gate represent in the home? It makes a statement. It protects, like all of
Hmm.
those sorts of things. You can go down the rabbit hole and just create all sorts of content around that. You know what I mean?
Sure,
And
sure.
just tap into another level of creativity for yourself, but
Yeah,
based around a product that you actually enjoy doing.
yes. That's a great idea,
Is
man.
that helpful?
Oh, hugely. And I've never even thought of doing a blog. I don't entirely know exactly what that is even, but
What's your website built on?
actually one of my guys built it, Nathan
It
Wicks, I
looks like
think.
Wix.
It's
Wix, yeah,
Wicks,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah. It looks like Wix. Yeah, you could create a blog on Wix, and
Okay.
yeah. I mean, I would get into a habit of like on a weekly basis just writing. You could just, I mean, it'll actually be good for business as well because then when people are Googling pergolas and gates,
Right.
custom gates, then you can start coming up because that's how Google ranks is from blogs and more content. So
Yeah, sure. That's
is that
actually a great
helpful?
idea. That's a great point. It is. Absolutely. Thank you.
Cool. Very cool. All right. Any last bit of parting advice for the woodpreneur community?
Yeah, just God, I don't know. Do what you love, man. Don't just
Mm-hmm.
do it for money.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is hugely helpful. Obviously we've got to make money, but
Yeah.
too many guys are unhappy and just working the grind. And you
Working the
keep
grind. Yeah.
plowing. I'm a pretty good example. You just keep plowing. We're not rich, but we're making a great living doing things that everybody that's here right now is really proud of, and
That's
it's
awesome.
fun.
That's awesome. Cool. Well, thank you so much, Chad, for your time. And I look forward to getting your story out to the woodpreneur community.
It sounds good, Steve. Thanks.